Ladies and gentlemen, it is year 2022, and back in studio, got Mellow 15. What's up, guys? Welcome back. I'm so excited to be back, guys. Took a little 2-week break there. Yeah, didn't do much of nothing, actually. You know what I mean? A lot of stuff happened since we last talked, but didn't do much of nothing. I got a lot of chores done, and it was a lame-o. But back in studio with me tonight, like he always is, my best disembodied voice, got J.O. What's up, man? I know we saw each other a lot, so it's not like we didn't, it's not like we didn't see each other, but, yeah, man, can you imagine? It's like, oh, he has a beard now. But, well, yeah, so a lot of you are joining me from TikTok. I want to thank you guys and welcome you. Some of you are joining us from the YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, wherever you're joining us from. Even if you're an original subscriber of the channel, I want to welcome you guys back. This year is going to be amazing. We're going to kill it this year. I promise you guys, we are going to go ham this year. I'm going to be doing shorts, regular weekly YouTube videos, TikTok, Instagram Reels. I'm going to try to get Justin to we're going to try to put out more music and more stuff for our first channel. So if you guys are into that, and if you guys don't know already, there's some of you who might not know, we have another channel called WPOB where all of our music stuff gets put on. Go hit subscribe on that one too, because we have great content on there as well. So some of you might be asking why I'm wearing green shades, and some of you might want to make fun of me for wearing green shades, but basically I don't give a fuck. It's kind of my eyes hurt, you know what I mean? Sometimes my eyes hurt, dude. I did before, Justin, and I think maybe a year and a half ago, some people liked the shades. They thought it was a good addition. And then all of a sudden someone's like, why is he wearing shades inside? And then I got shamed. And I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to get bullied. But I don't care about the online bullying, dog. I'm wearing shades, goddammit. Since we last talked, though, guys, and I'm going to get off the shades, but since we last talked, a lot of stuff has come out. A lot of stuff has happened. I can't talk about all of it because there's too much to talk about, and we're on time restrictions here, you know what I mean? But I do want to start off with No Way Home. So that came out December 17th, where we're in America, right? Isn't the December 17th was the release date for that. So I saw the movie. Great movie, by the way. Dude, if you guys haven't seen it, please click off because we're about to get into some spoilers. And I know some people are, but spoilers. Okay, so this is your chance. Love you guys, but this is your chance to click off. So I saw No Way Home with Justin and a group of my friends. I gotta say, and now that and I'm actually glad I'm getting to do the review weeks later instead of days later, because I've had time to think. I've had time to think of all the bad stuff I didn't like about it, the good stuff. If I would have done this review like a day after the theater, this review might be different. I don't know if you feel the same, Justin, but I probably would be giving a more but this review right here is more like, okay, I've had time to sit on it, think, and yeah. So before we get into my review of it later on, I am gonna give my list of the top Spider-Man movies from my best to worst. My list might not be your list, but I think it's a pretty fair list if we're gonna compare a list to other people who've made one. I feel like my list is pretty goddamn accurate. So, No Way Home. I personally think it is the best Spider-Man movie I've ever seen. Sorry. I know a lot of people still love Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire and Alfred Molina, which I don't fault you for that. That movie is amazing. Some people still have Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse as their top Spider-Man movie, and I don't fault you for that either. I feel like everybody has a different taste. Everybody has a different list. So I'm not going to be out here being rude to people oh, your list is trash. Unless you have Amazing Spider-Man 2 as your top, then there might be something wrong with you. And if you saw Dane DeHaan with the if you saw that and that's your number one movie, then you're mentally ill. But so do you, by the way, I think you've answered this, Justin, but for the camera we haven't. Is this your top Spider-Man movie, or where did you put this in your...
Yeah, I don't see how it can't be.
So Marvel-wise?
Yeah, I think it's top 2 or 3.
Yeah, I would say for me, it's top 3 Marvel movie. I would still put Infinity War and maybe like Endgame above it, but this movie was special. And by the way, like there was so much rumors going before the movie that like Toby and Andrew were gonna be in the movie that like we kind of already expected it. But I'm glad they didn't put them in the trailers. I'm glad they saved it for the theater experience because it made it that much more special. Mm-hmm. Hey, you guys didn't put it in the theater. You guys didn't put it in the trailer, right? So now I don't even know if they're in it. All those rumors might just be fucking rumors. And now, but then when I go to the theater to watch it, it was special seeing Andrew when he came from the portal and Ned's house and they come from the portal. That was special.
You think they're just going to never market it that way?
Like, even like, you mean like another
Say
movie?
You know how they have like TV spots for like DVD, or not DVD, but like, you know, digital, Blu-ray, that type of shit?
Yeah.
Like, you know how they have releases for like the at-home release? Like they have commercials for that. Do you think that they're going to put those three in the marketing for that?
It's almost impossible not to, but I mean, I would understand why. If they don't, I understand why, because there's going to be people, spoilers.
Yeah, like, because, you know, like, oh, I did want to go to the movie theaters during a pandemic. I didn't see it in theaters. I'm going to wait for the at-home release. And then when the at-home release comes, they fucking spoil the movie for the people that didn't see it.
They better, if they don't, cool. I mean, because, bro, I feel like this movie, no matter what, people are going to say spoilers. Yeah. It's going to be 2 years down the line, and if they do like an anniversary DVD release, people are gonna be like, spoilers, bro. So like, yeah, if they don't, I mean, they're gonna do that, but it'd be cool. And we all guessed that scene from when MJ's falling and like Andrew Garfield saves, like, you know, his Peter Parker saves her. We all guessed that, but seeing it in theaters was like, bro, you redeemed yourself. This movie does a lot of fixing, by the way. It fixes the Amazing Spider-Man for me. I didn't really like Amazing Spider-Man 2, and I'll tell you guys why later because I'm going to go through my list. But Amazing Spider-Man 2, like, that movie was just not good. So going forward, that Amazing Spider-Man character, like, you know, right? It was like, oh. But this movie kind of fixes him for me. This movie, like, it fixes that character for me. And not that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man had anything that needed to be fixed, but I feel like that added on to a lot of, now I want to see a fourth Tobey Spider-Man movie. And why now? We've been telling people that for weeks now. If you guys go back to previous podcast, we've literally been saying like, hey, it's literal free money at this point. You keep Tom in the MCU, give Tobey his fourth movie, do Amazing Spider-Man 3, and keep Amazing Spider-Man in your Venom and Morbius universe. Dude, that you might be able to make more money than Marvel makes with like their MCU movies. I mean, you're literally talking about like the titans of comic book characters. And they have 3 of them. And I know it's all the same character like Peter Parker and Spider-Man, but they literally have the chance to like just give us, I don't know. I mean, maybe people are prisoners of the moment. Do you think a lot of it is that? Just like people are just prisoners of the moment? Like, hey, maybe the whole outcry for more Andrew Garfield movies is only coming because of No Way Home. Like, because you didn't hear this before this movie. So you think Sony's taking that into account, like hey...
Maybe. I don't think that's a bad thing, though. If they're able to capitalize it, like, fuck it.
Go in. I loved Willem Dafoe, Alfred Molina, Jamie Foxx. Bro, they killed it. I loved it. Green Goblin was way more evil in this movie than he was the previous movies. And we did say in one of our previous episodes, Justin, we didn't want Aunt May to die. But she ends up dying, so it's like, oh, that adds to like Peter's like, when he in his college years, he has no Aunt May, no MJ, no Ned, nothing. He lives in a shitty apartment, no Tony Stark money, no Happy, no Pepper Potts, none of that. He's just literally by himself, probably gonna go through college, probably. It's gonna be dark, bro. His next trilogy of movies, I can't wait because it's gonna get dark for this kid. And he made the ultimate sacrifice that I don't think a lot of people are willing to make. Are you willing to make the sacrifice of, if you cast this spell, right, and everybody forgets who I am, they don't forget Spider-Man, they forget Peter Parker. So I lose everybody. But in the process of losing everybody, I potentially save their life. That's one of the biggest things you can ask from somebody. And would people be willing to do that? It's a big sacrifice. It's not just hey, I won't eat fast food anymore. It's not. And this is like probably one of the biggest sacrifices you can do as somebody in his position. I don't think Tony Stark. Maybe with Tony with his daughter, But you ask a lot of the heroes in the MCU, they're taking that same risk. I don't know if they're taking that same risk. I mean, I don't think he says yes to that if Aunt May's still alive. If Aunt May's still alive, I don't think he asked Doctor Strange to make everybody forget who he is as Peter Parker. I don't know. That to me was like really sad, and like the ending when he's like jumping out of the window with his like his new suit that he made, and like I don't know. It was cool. It was a really good ending, guys. I can go into the movie a little later in a different episode because like I'd actually want someone to like. I want to get someone who doesn't like it so we could talk about it because you know I always get people who agree with me. It'd be kind of cool to get someone who doesn't agree with me for once.
I can't see how you don't like that movie though. That'd be crazy.
Well, there is people who exist who don't. I mean, the only thing I didn't. There's a couple things I didn't like, and I get why Peter did it. Like he wanted to save the villains, but these guys were murderers, bro. They were They were like serial killers, basically. They killed a lot of people, and he said, "I want to save you." Like, bro, by sending them back to their own universe to die, you're doing your universe justice. And that was probably part of Peter's learning curve. He's so eager to want to save everybody and he'll do stupid shit just to get to do that. Yeah, I mean, so again, that one I didn't really like that part, and I also didn't like how, at first, I didn't like how Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock and Venom gets sent back. So it's like, oh, you guys only had them in that last end credit scene just to leave the symbiote. Is it symbiote or symbiote?
Symbiote.
Oh, I know people are gonna kill me for that, but you know, I've heard it said different ways. But yeah, they leave that piece of Venom behind, and it's like, oh, you guys only put Tom Hardy in this to do that. Like, I mean, so then I took a couple weeks to think on it, and I'm like, oh, that's cool because then there's gonna be an MCU version of Venom, then there's gonna be the Sony version of Venom, and you could do a different thing with the MCU version of Venom. You know, Tom Holland probably comes across the part of Venom that got left behind, and he's already going through like dark times in his college years. No Aunt May, no MJ. He's probably gonna freak out, dude, when he gets that
those
suit.
fights are about to be fucking fire.
Yeah,
I wonder who they're gonna cast as Venom though, and I wonder how they're gonna go about it because I don't think that they should cast somebody who acts like Tom Hardy did. Tom Hardy was kind of like
he didn't even want to be a bad guy, really, right? Like he wasn't.
Yeah, I don't know.
They should get, if they're gonna do Eddie Brock again, like if they're gonna go the Eddie Brock route, they need to get an Eddie Brock who's just evil himself. And so when the Venom attaches himself to Eddie Brock, I mean, I want to get like a Venom it's not an anti-hero Venom. We need to get a Venom who's like, yeah, I'm just down to cause havoc. I don't know if you agree. I think that's why the Tom Hardy Venom really wouldn't have worked in the MCU.
But isn't that the whole point of Carnage though? Carnage is like the evil version of Venom, where he does just want to like fucking kill.
I mean, he goes above and beyond what Venom does, but yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think they should go that far, but I don't think they should get Eric Foreman Venom or Tom Hardy Venom. I think those two guys were just like too, not wimpy, but like if you watch the Venom movies, Tom Hardy's like crying over his ex-wife and living by himself, sad as fuck, and I wasn't with all that.
Yeah, we don't need to do all that, but it's just... Well, because Aaron Taylor Johnson is Kraven the Hunter. I guess, you know, he was casted as Kraven the Hunter for this upcoming Spider-Man movies. And part of Kraven's last hunt involves Spider-Man getting the black suit, and so that'd be interesting if they incorporate that with the next trilogy. So that'd be cool. And since Kingpin is back, the guy who played Kingpin in the Daredevil series, he's back as Kingpin. Daredevil, he was in the movie too, which was cool to see. They got the same guy from the Netflix series. That was actually pretty cool to see. So they're gonna have a lot they can do going forward, and I'm very excited. A lot of people have been. If you guys haven't watched Dune, the kid from Dune, Timothy, I think it's Chalamet. I always pronounce people's names wrong, and I'm gonna get killed for that. But Timothy would be a perfect Harry Osborn, and I am gonna stand on that. If not Harry Osborn, they could do it to where he's Norman Osborn, and our MCU Peter meets Norman when he's younger and not older. You know what I mean? Like he starts up Oscorp, like how these billionaires on Earth start up their companies, it could be like almost an Amazon thing. That's like Tom Holland Spider-Man helps Timothy's Norman Osborn start up Oscorp, and then almost like the movie Social Network, where like he helps him start it up, and then he becomes evil, and then Or they can get the kid from Cobra Kai. His name's Tanner Buchanan, bro. He would be a good person in this universe too, either as Harry Osborn or something. He'd be a good Venom, in my opinion. In my opinion, if they get him to play Eddie Brock, Tanner Buchanan, that'd be fire too, dude. So there's a lot of casting choices I want to talk about in like the future episodes that we do. But I am gonna get to my ranking. So I sat here and I said, hey, now that No Way Home came out, let's do a list. And I'm going to go from top to bottom. Again, like I said, this is my list. You guys might not like it, but I think this is a pretty solid list. So coming in at number 1, obviously, if you haven't been listening, we got No Way Home. I think No Way Home is the best Spider-Man movie to date. It's great, has a lot of nostalgia, has good fan service, but not over-the-top fan service, in my opinion. I mean, it was like the perfect way to end off a trilogy too. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it just, not a lot of people can end off trilogies good. They ended this one off good. Coming in at number 2, I got Into the Spider-Verse. I know it's the only animated movie on here, but I still count it because that movie was amazing. Miles Morales, all of it. They created a different little universe. And I think that's cool that an animated movie can make people feel that way. That this movie was so good that there's a lot of people that I look up to and respect in this industry who also put this as one of their tops. There's a reason, bro. This Into the Spider-Verse is good. The sequel's coming out next year, or I think this year. Yeah, I think the sequel's coming out this year, and it's Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. So that's, yeah. So coming in at number 3, I got Spider-Man 2, the original Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire. That movie, okay, for the longest time, a lot of people had that as one of their top comic book movies ever. That movie is really good, by the way. I might be crazy for having it at number 3, but that movie is really good. It really fleshes out that Peter Parker and Spider-Man. It's actually the longest movie, I believe, in the original trilogy. I think that movie was like 2.5 hours, or like 2 hours and like 40 minutes. But that movie does a lot of like character building. It doesn't skip over a lot of things. Like, one of my favorite scenes from that movie, I believe, is when Tobey Maguire Spider-Man is stopping the train. And then like people figure out he's Peter Parker. Like, oh, he's just a kid. That's who's been saving us this whole time. Like, that was an amazing scene. Coming in at number 4, we got Far From Home. So I loved Far From Home. I know a lot of people didn't, and that's probably because they didn't see No Way Home yet. But if you watch this trilogy from front to back, No Way Home makes more sense. And maybe you guys didn't like Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio, but I rocked with it. I thought that movie was, you know, like, a lot of people didn't like that Mysterio worked for Tony Stark, that they had him work at Stark Industries. I mean, come on, bro. If we're going to build a universe, we're going to use things within the universe. You know, people are like, oh, why does everything have to evolve around Stark Industries? Because it's an already established universe. We're just going to go make something up? No, that makes sense within the universe that they're building. Coming in, the next one, coming in at number, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yeah, sorry. Coming in at number 5, we got Spider-Man 1 with Tobey Maguire. Again, that movie is great. A great setup for that trilogy. I thought it was funny because like almost everybody in that movie looks like they're fucking 30. They look like they're in their late 30s too. It's you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things that in the early 2000s, a lot of people didn't do this good, but like they just wanted to cast people, like they didn't care. Hey, you're 40, come play a high schooler. That's what it seemed like. Next on the list, we got Homecoming. I thought Homecoming was a really solid movie. I mean, you know what I mean? Out of that Tom Holland trilogy, it's probably not it's not my favorite of that trilogy, but it's a solid opening. I loved Michael Keaton as Vulture. So I was hoping to see him again in No Way Home, but he didn't make an appearance. So I'm getting down to the last 3. Okay, Amazing Spider-Man 1 is the next one, and Amazing Spider-Man 1 is, yeah, it's good, but I mean, it's not my favorite. You know, they try to go with the more grittier Spider-Man, which it's cool. The movie's not bad. Like, none of these movies are really bad, except for like the last one that I'm about to name. But yeah, Amazing Spider-Man 1 was okay. I didn't mind it. You know what I mean? But I got the last 2. So Spider-Man 3 coming in next is Spider-Man 3, and yeah, I mean, that movie's still enjoyable. Like, I can still watch that movie, but just, You know, when you hear about like Sam Raimi didn't want Venom in the movie, and then and Sony forces Venom in the movie, so now we have to cast Eric Foreman as Venom, and he's just like, "Hey, Peter," you know, that little smile, you know, that little like, "Oh wow, you're Spidey," and it's like, "Oh my god, bro, what?" And Harry's flying around New York with like no mask on, like, "You killed my dad, Peter." It's like, I don't know. Like, I feel like Sony like interfering with this movie kind of messed it up. It's still enjoyable though, right? Like, it is. Like, I'll still watch it, bro. But it's like, come on, dude. Like, Topher Grace as Venom. Who at Sony okayed that? Sorry. Coming in last too. This is my least favorite Spider-Man movie. Amazing Spider-Man 2. Again, like, it was cool, but they had the whole Electro is Edward Nigma thing going on, where it's like just like the nerdy scientist guy who no one likes and cares about. He has no friends. He just, you know what I mean? It was like predictable. Then Dane DeHaan isn't a bad actor, but then you get Dane DeHaan as Harry Osborn, and then when he turns into the Goblin, he's like, it's like, oh, bro, you know what I mean? Like, you guys wasted Andrew Garfield's acting talent. Then you wasted Emma Stone's acting talent just to make that. That's what we come up with. And the reason I didn't like Amazing Spider-Man even more is because when from the leaked emails that they had and everything, were like, "Oh, let's make Michael B. Jordan my love interest." Like, yeah, get this fucking atrocity away from us. You know what I mean? The second you started saying like, "Let's get Michael B. Jordan as my love interest," and Zombie Gwen and Zombie Captain Stacy, yeah, bye. When I do, bye, dude. Like, sorry, that's just an atrocity, dude. It's an atrocity. So that's my list. Is your list similar? Probably not, right? Like, it's not probably.
I would have to give it more thought.
Yeah, you guys comment below. Feel free to comment below if you don't agree with my list. If you do, comment with your own list. Actually, that'd be cool, and I'll read them. And yeah, like, I'm down for a conversation, guys. That's the whole point of doing stuff like this.
I do think the Amazing Spider-Man 2 is kind of like hands down one of the worst ones, though.
Yeah, I probably
just the acting in general, the story,
all of it, huh?
Yeah, it just seemed like complete fucking.
Yeah, no,
They bit off more than they can chew.
I still, the image of Dane DeHaan in my head where he's like, it's like, okay, bye, Amazing Spider-Man. That killed it for me. That literally killed it for me. Not anything else. It's just that right there. I don't know why, but that right there was just, I'm not doing it. Since we've been gone, Cobra Kai season 4 came out. I reviewed season 3 with you guys earlier last year. Great season, by the way. Cobra Kai season 4, that's what I'm talking about. When these people bring back old shows or old movies and they try to make it new, what they fail to do is this is where they fell at. They fail to give respect to the older characters, right? The older generation. This is where they fell at. I mean, they absolutely fell at that. Star Wars has failed. The sequels, you know what I mean? Like, they didn't pay any of the older characters respect. And that's just my opinion, but Cobra Kai season 4 continues that tradition. They're not just focused on the newer characters, which they should be, right? But they're not just focused on them. You know, they give Daniel LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence and Kreese, they give all of them their due diligence. It was an amazing season. Do I like it compared to 3? I think 3 is still a little bit better for me, but number 4, yeah, I mean, Terry Silver came back. And if you guys don't know, Terry Silver is one of the main bad guys from the 3rd movie. He comes back, you know, and that's one of the things I liked is that when they bring back older characters, they kind of make them different. So it's not like, I'm the same guy again and I'm just going to think and act the same. No, these guys are older, right? They've been through things, so things might change. So at first, Terry just didn't want to come back. Kreese had to like convince him to come back. And when he came back, he wasn't on that like weird psycho shit yet. You know, he's like, hey, we should do it this way. And like, you know, it was cool to see them do that with Johnny and Daniel LaRusso too. Like, these guys, yes, they were in other movies, but they're not just coming back and like, I'm the same person. I thought that was cool. The only thing I don't like, and I think I said this in the season 3 review, is that the younger actors, I think they try a little too much. You know, that's like when you watch a show or a movie with like the younger actors in the show, like the way they act, it sometimes feels like forced or feels like kind of like a joke. That's kind of what it came across as, actually, to be honest with you. But yeah, one of my favorite things about this season was Robbie Keane. Bro, I love that character. That character to me, like I said this in my season 3 review, but like it's kind of like Kylo Ren vibes. Doesn't really have a dad he likes, doesn't really like his mom. But he's like a very gifted young man, has huge potential. So of course he gets into karate like his dad was into karate. And he has like this whole Kylo Ren thing going on where like he's in Cobra Kai and his dad's over here helping Daniel teach the students, because at the end of season 3 they kind of joined forces. So a lot of this season was, hey, can we even coexist in the same dojo? We both do different styles. We both have different teachings. Like that was cool to see too. And like they did that with Cobra Kai. Kreese and Silver, they had different teachings. Could they even coexist in the same dojo? Because one guy wanted this way, one guy wanted it the other way, and it was the same way for Daniel and Johnny. You know, and like they didn't let their rivalry die. That was cool, right? And so in my season 3 review, we talked about the kids would do a lot of we're gonna break into houses and all this stuff, and like where's the cops at, right? They kind of addressed that this season. You know, Daniel's wife was like, hey, I could have called the cops on you for like using brass knuckles on my daughter and breaking into my house, but like I'm gonna give you a chance. A lot of people still probably said like, hey, why didn't you call the cops regardless? But they kind of addressed that because like, yeah, the kids were just breaking into people's houses and like there was no consequences type shit. Overall, a great season. They ended it off great. Kreese gets set up for the attack on Stingray. You know, and Silver goes back to his old like, I'm the evil bad guy ways, rich bad guy. And I thought that was cool, bro. Like, you know, because Kreese kept saying like, hey, I'm the reason you didn't die in Nam. And I always said to myself like, yeah, bro, how many times are you going to tell this guy that before he just says he doesn't care anymore? And he kind of said that. He was like, yeah, I'm not going to let you guilt trip me anymore when it comes to this. And I thought that was cool. Miguel ends up like running away at the end of the season to go find his dad in Mexico. It's like, hey, bro, I want to do the same, but I can't afford it. I'm playing, but no, so one of the things that like I guess is kind of like a double-edged sword for me is because they robbed Robbie of the title. He should have won at the end against Hawk. Sorry if people think otherwise, but they literally set him up this entire season. He can fight his whole dojo. He can literally fight his whole entire dojo, bro. He can fight them. And then all of a sudden, like, oh, he just doesn't... I don't know, bro. Yeah, so... literally, in episode 1, Robbie shows up to the Cobra Kai dojo. He's like, hey, if one of you guys can land a hit, I'll leave. And he beats their entire fucking class up. He's known to, like, take multiple people on. But, he goes into the finals. They introduced a new kid in the season 2, Kenny Payne, which I love that character. Because he started off as like just a really innocent, like kind of like a nerdy kid. He gets bullied, and one of the people bullying him is Daniel's son Anthony. So he's bullying him. He joins Cobra Kai, and then you can see like the progression of that character. That was cool too. So overall, guys, I would say watch it if you haven't already. But if you haven't seen the previous seasons, you're probably gonna want to see the previous seasons because you wouldn't be able to watch this season without, going in. But yeah, so before we end tonight's show, guys, you guys know on here I'm a really big enthusiast for like space, aliens, all that type of stuff. But this one is kind of more grounded, I would say. And I'm actually really excited to talk about this one. I'm like super excited because this one I've been paying attention to closely. What before I start talking about it though, guys, I'm not like the smartest person in the world. I'm not like a scientist. So I can't go into like too much depth about this because like I will sound stupid. But from what I do know, if you guys haven't heard about this already, this might change humanity. This might be something that like changes the way we view life. So it's the James Webb telescope. This thing is $10 billion. Basically, they're calling it a time machine. I'll explain to you why in a minute. It's a $10 billion telescope that's been in development for the last 2 decades. They're saying it's 100 times more powerful than the Hubble telescope, which is crazy if you think about it. But basically, this telescope works in the infrared spectrum, which a lot of people are like, oh, what is infrared? It's basically a light that that is hard to see with the human eye, if you can see it at all. It's assisted by a huge mirror that they put on it, which has gold on it, which, come to find out, it's over 48 grams of gold that's on this telescope, which I thought it looked cool. They're saying, the craziest part, they're saying that this telescope is going to be able to see the formation of early galaxies, stars, and basically like the events after the Big Bang. Wrap your mind around that. If you can take just a second, wrap your mind around the fact that this thing's going to be able to see the early formation of galaxies. I mean, we're talking about, I mean, if this thing can get even pictures or just show us how it's done, that's what I meant earlier when I said this is going to change the way we view things on Earth. That is crazy to me. And the fact that it's not really being talked about just proves that movie, Don't Look Up. If you guys haven't seen Don't Look Up, it's on Netflix, I believe. Yes, it's on Netflix. Guys, watch it. We are that close to becoming that movie. And this isn't to be rude to people, because I'm trying to be like a better person going into 2022. But a lot of people are just fucking dumb. We are just dumb. A lot of people are they're just blue pill consumers. That's what it seems like. And like stuff like this should be being talked about. It is, yes, technically it is being talked about, but it should be the top thing being talked about. Right? Because this is my biggest problem with stuff like this. I feel like the Earth's collective consciousness is just really low. Look at all the cool things we have. Look at all the cool things we're inventing. And we're still talking about a man-made book. Or we're still talking about stuff that just, you know what I mean? Like, oh, it just doesn't make sense to me. How we can be this far developed, yet there's a lot of people out here who are just dumb. Sorry. Just dumb. You know, you tell them about this. Oh, space isn't real. Hey, this telescope's going to be able to, like, you know, potentially see how early galaxies were formed. Oh, that stuff's fake. I don't know. Like, to me, and we can debate that later, whether space is real or not, because that's actually a good debate. But the point is, stuff like this is super cool. And then, like, when you try to tell people about it, they're like, all they can care about is like social media or just other stuff that like just doesn't matter in the grand scheme, man. It sucks that something like this is happening right now, and like people are more on tune with like, why is Dave Chappelle not getting canceled? Or, you know, just stupid stuff that's been happening than last year. All this like stupid crap that like people would rather just talk about that instead of like something like this, which is like super cool, by the way. Can I don't know, my mind can't even fathom this, bro. So it's going to be very interesting to like see how this develops going forward. I think they're saying that this telescope has like a 5 to 10 year lifespan. Basically because like once it's done using its power, unless they have like a manned ship that can go out there, they're not going to be able to go out there and like do maintenance on it. So this thing's going to be able to tell.
So they developed it for 20 years just for it to only last 5.
Yeah, basically. But think about it. The information that this thing's going to be giving us, it's going to change a lot. It's going to be able to see more exoplanets. It's basically going to be able to answer like if there's other life out there. It's basically like a time machine, basically, because I've told you guys in the past episodes that, you know, you go out 65 billion light years, turn a telescope towards Earth. Theoretically, if you're able to see Earth through that telescope, you're going to see the dinosaurs. Because light hasn't traveled
that far yet.
Yeah, so basically this thing is like a time machine. And I think it'd be kind of cool if we can get a manned ship out there by the time its lifespan ends, so we can keep using it. That'd be cool. But it's going so far out there that, like, you know, maybe a manned ship that would go to do maintenance wouldn't, you know. What time are we at?
36.
All right, cool. I need a minute. Yeah, before I go, guys, one of the biggest takeaways from this James Webb telescope is there life out there other than us? How was the early galaxies formed after the Big Bang? Like, just what is this? Because, like, I don't know if anybody else has ever, like, just sat here and questioned it, but what are we doing? You know, like, we're sitting on a rock, basically. We're sitting on a rock just floating through space. And, like, a lot of people, like, in the movie Don't Look Up, like, oh, like, think about all this stuff that you care about and you get stressed out about, right? Okay, like, why are we stressed out about half the thing? Like, we're literally just floating on a rock and whatever this is. What isn't like a void of space? Like, what is space? Like, is space inside of something? What is outside of the observable universe? Like, that kind of stuff. Like, if this thing can answer that, that's amazing, bro. That is, like, super cool. And I feel like more people should care. And I know they're not going to because it doesn't have, like, clout. And, like, it, you know what I mean? Like, you best believe if the James Webb Telescope had clout, these guys would jump all over it. But it doesn't, so...
If it had, like, 100 million Instagram followers.
Yeah, then people would care. I mean, maybe a lot of people just don't want to know the answer to that kind of stuff, which that is that's respectable. At least you're saying that, like, hey, I don't really want to know the answer to whether there's life. Maybe your world is such a tight-knit little world that you live in that you just don't want to know, like, mind-bending answers like that. But if the collective consciousness is to grow, we have to, like, think outside the box. We have to learn new things. We're not going to be able to learn new things still quoting from books. Like, from, like, the Bible and, like, quoting religion, like, oh, but God said we live in a firmament. Like, bro, shut the fuck up, dude. It just sounds stupid. Sorry, like, I don't like shitting on people's religion, and, like, I don't like doing that to people's, like, ideas. But we're not going to be able to move forward if people keep still saying stuff like that. God wouldn't want us to use technology. Like, what? Then why did he make us, bro? Sorry, folks. Somebody has to say this type of stuff, or you guys are going to keep thinking that it's cool to say this. Space is fun. Space is cool. Like, bro, some of the coolest conversations come from that. That's why my channel and, like, my TikTok and all that stuff is growing, because we press that issue here on this channel. Yes, we talk about shows and movies, and yes, we talk about pop culture and music, and we talk about a bunch of stuff. But I also like pushing ideas like this. I like expanding our minds, bro. Because we're never going to grow if we don't, like, accept it. Like, hey, there's a lot of things out there we don't understand, and let's learn together, bro. Let's sit here and let's learn together and figure out what this is, and we can make a better planet for everybody. I don't want to give birth to kids and, like, they're born into a world where people are hella ignorant, dog. Not my kids. But yeah, that is tonight's episode, guys. We are back for 2022. It was a fun year last year. Had a fun little 2-week break. And yeah, and I promise you guys, this is going to be a really, really big year. Really nice year for everything. And again, I want to thank everybody who's coming from different platforms to watch. It means the world to me, guys. Especially, like, the people who are here in the beginning, like the Frans and the Jens and the Ronnies and the Robertos. Like, you guys will always mean the world to me. You guys know that too. So next week, I'm excited. I don't even know what we're doing next week. That's how cool this year is, dude. There's so much stuff going on. Next week might be a completely different episode, and I don't know. Let's just enjoy the fucking ride, dude. You know what I mean? Let's just enjoy this ride, and together we're gonna build a nice platform and a nice community where everybody can feel safe here and everybody can feel like they're not being attacked. Okay? And till next time, guys. Peace.